All right, guys, my receiver went dead for my microphone. I guess I left it on last night, so sorry if you got a little fan noise in the background and I'm a little bit echoey in here. It's on a charger. I just don't have time to wait to get this job done for this customer, so we're just gonna go ahead and shoot this video using the mic on the GoPro itself. But again, so I ordered up another transmission. A guy I know through eBay. Really nice transmission. It's actually way nicer looking than the one that was actually in it. All the dogs look really good. Nothing's rounded off. So remember, it's got a locating pin here and a half moon washer that goes there that locates that, and a dowel pin on the big bearing that sits over here. So we'll go ahead and we'll put this in place. We'll spin this over. This is already oiled up on that side. We'll oil the transmission after the fact. And then on this guy here in a minute, what we'll do, we'll put a little silicone gasket sealer for the engine right here on both halves, so when it goes in like this, it seals here just in case it does want to decide to make a leak or anything. And then I'll go ahead and put the dowel locating pins back in like this. But and now we're gonna go ahead and grab the other half. Same thing, locating pin there and here. Make sure this is facing down. Go ahead and drop it into place. Spin this over. And then you'll see this drop. Once we get this lined up, it'll drop down in there. I'll get my hand in here. Go ahead and check it. See that drop down in there? Make sure it's good. Until we're not neutral there. Here we go. Just make sure everything lines up, everything spins freely, no big issues. And there we go, in neutral now, perfect. So we'll go ahead and add a little silicone here, Suzuki bond on that. And then the same thing with the big one here. I'll probably lift it back up and out when I press that on the halves again also. So we'll grab a little bit of that, make sure our hands are clean. And I'm not gonna put a whole bunch on, just a couple nice little dabs. And then we'll clean up any excess that may want to push itself out towards the outer case halves. Same thing with this guy, which the rod runs through for the clutch. Doesn't take very much. Again, this is just something I have always done. I was taught when I'm building racing motors and stuff to do that. And we'll put it down in there like so. So the next thing we gotta do, we gotta put silicone all around this guy. It'll run all the way up around here, down this guy, and around the back. Let's double check the schematic here real quick. Oh, I just lost it. So yeah, it'll go all the way around here, down the back here, down here, stop right here, and then again, right through here, up around that a little bit, and right there. So what I'll do, I'll just put a little bit on my finger. Turn you guys sideways here. So I'll put a little bit on my finger and I'll just dab it nice, thin coat all the way around, nothing crazy thick. I know some of you guys may not, I'll speed this up, so I won't talk during it, but then we gotta also make sure all our shift forks and stuff are aligned with the shift drum when we go to set that on top. So I'll just probably fast forward through this part so you guys don't have to suffer. All right, again, gonna go ahead and put my locating pins back that I just stuck in. I put gasket maker sealer all around both sides. That's how I've always done it. So the hard part here we're gonna get into is getting all the shift forks lined up. This is the fun part. All right, so I think we're all lined up. We're gonna try to get her to settle down on there, how it should. Shift fork there. There. Might just be missing this one a hair. What a pain in the butt. I have a flashlight here. This is the worst part about putting one of these guys together. There we go. There we go. Just had to move it a little bit. All shift forks are lined up. Everything is pushed down nice and solid. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some of the 8s and go ahead and put those in there, or the 6mm bolts. That way just hold the case halves in so I can rotate it. I know this one goes in the middle. Let's see here, and then goes like this. Let's see. One, two. Okay, yep, just like so. So we got, that one's got a washer. This one has a washer. That one has a washer. That one has a washer. Let's double check the, yeah. Washer, 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 washer. And then these 3 should have a washer also. Inside. I like my little cardboard. I made it exactly the way this thing's laid out. Makes our life easy. Washer. Washer. That one's a washer on it. Back here in the back. Like I said, I'm not going to run these crazy tight at the moment. I'm just going to snug them all up. That way I can flip the motor and go ahead and so I can flip the motor and put the big ones in. And all these will be eventually torqued down to, I think, 11 Newton meters, what it says. Let's see. Initially 6 and 11, and then the 8 mils would be 15 Newton meters to 25. So let's just go ahead and just check all these real quick. We'll make sure I have every one of these semi-tightened down. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and pull my stand out. We're gonna flip the motor over. Set it right there, and we'll go ahead and put all those in. And again, should go in this direction. Washer, washer. Okay, just like, let's see. So if we're looking at it, I'm looking backwards here, so I need to spin the motor a little bit so I can see what I got going on here. That one takes a washer. That guy. That one does not. This guy does. There it is. This guy does not. And this guy does not. So we're going to tighten those all up real quick. Like I said, I'm reading out of the service manual as we're doing this together. It's been a while since I had to do this, so of course you hear that on all my videos. But having a service manual around is definitely better than not. That way we know we're right on all our torque specs, where all our washers go, where they don't go, all that good stuff. I think this one I had to use a wobbly extension. or even a wobbly with a ball end. There we go. So that gets torqued down to 15 to 26 Newton meters. Grab my snap-on here. Put it on Newton meters. Let's say 15. Well, this maxes out 135.6. Come on. If I wanted to go past it for some reason. So, anyways, we go on and drop it down to 15. This will take a second. 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 15. Oh, we missed one. Screw all the way down. That's all right. We'll just do that by hand here. So 15. Okay, and then 26. We're on 26. And 26. So all those are torqued down to 15 initial and then 26 at the end. Spin this bad boy back. We'll flip it back upside down, and then we'll go ahead and torque down the other case halves. I don't push you guys halfway across the world here. Yeah. I need to invest in some engine stands to go on my engine stand I have. All right, so anyways, so now all these initial torque is gonna be 6, and then final 11. Whoop. See if you guys can still figure out you had a decent angle here or not. I know those should already be down at 6. We're just gonna go right to 11, just because of what we had earlier. There we go, all those are torqued down how they're supposed to be. We can tell we're still doing all right here. Let's just go ahead and see if we can't get this bad boy to sit back in neutral again. There we go, there's neutral. Everything feels good, smooth, nothing's catching. That's awesome. So now we can go ahead and put back in our oil pressure release valve, our sump, and put our oil pan back on. We could always stick our water pump back on if we wanted to take a look to make sure that's gonna line up fine with the oil and all that stuff. So we could do that too while I'm sitting here. So I'll just go ahead and clean this up a little bit. I cleaned up the case has, but I didn't clean up the rest of that. So before we do that, actually, let's go ahead and let's throw some oil down on some of this stuff here. Which I kind of was getting carried away, but we'll be all right. We'll go ahead and oil up all the gears, shift drum, shafts for the shift forks. I should have had some, I don't have any moly lube with me anymore. I gotta order some more. So we're just gonna go ahead and use just some regular 1040 oil. There we go. That should take care of any dry stuff like that. We'll grab a little bit, put it on our finger, put it on our O-ring for our water pump. Everything's blown away. I'm just hoping you guys can hear me okay. That's kind of my biggest concern, is making sure you guys can hear me. Water pump back on. We'll grab our bolts for that. These be torqued down to 10 to 12 newton meters also. So that was a lot easier looking at the water pump through here, putting it back on instead of trying to spin everything after the fact. We are still set at 11, so 10 to 12 is what we want, so we'll put it at 11. There we go. And now we need to put a light coat of gasket sealer here. I'll do that before I stick the pressure relief, oil pressure relief in. That way I don't get, I don't have to get anything down in there on accident. So we'll go ahead and do that real quick. And like I said, I put a light coat on both surfaces. I'll put it on this and I'll put it on the oil pan. Once we get it out on there, we'll torque all those down. I think Suzuki had a sequence for that. I'll have to look it up here. Nope, no sequence on this one. I can't remember if Suzuki or Triumph had a sequence for that, that if you didn't do it the right way, it would definitely you'd have a leak. But anyways, I'll put this on there and we'll jump back into the video. All that back on there. We got this a little lubed up. Let's clean it up a little bit. Take a little bit of that extra off. Make sure that snaps all the way back down in there good. We grab our O-ring for our oil pickup. Get it in here like that. And then, I believe, yeah, like so. Probably should have put that in first before I did the gasket sealer. That's all right. These are also torqued down to 10 to 12 newton meters. Go right in the middle at 11. Should be just fine with what I just tapped it with, but we'll always double check. Yep, a couple. And that was perfect. All right, now we're just gonna go ahead and this part right here will line right up on top of the oil pressure release. And now we'll start grabbing our bolts out. There are certain ones that have washers that go in certain areas. They're all the same length, but they do go in certain areas. So basically, as you're looking at it, the top corner does not. The one right below that right here does have a washer. And then this one does not. This one does not. I'm sorry, this one does not. And then this one has a washer right here, and then the rest don't. So they're all the same length. Let's go ahead and put all those in. I start them all, try to start them all by hand. That way we don't tear up any threads. And these will all be torqued to 10 newton meters. drop this down 1 to 10. I know a lot of you guys are like, oh, crisscross pattern, blah, blah. Yes. I already went through an initial, torqued them all down. They're just double checking the torque on them all. So there's no point going to crisscross pattern now. There we go. So now I want to go ahead and look at it. I'm going to wipe the excess off from around the outer edges. Just gives it a little bit nicer look. Doesn't look so like sloppy work. That's just kind of my personal opinion. I do the same thing on all my race motors. I clean up all the silicone that's squirted out the sides. Shouldn't be much if you put a light coat on. You don't need a big thick bead. That way it doesn't get inside the motor or in any of the oil passages on the inside. So let's put it just like I did. Just tap it with your finger on both sides, and that way it does a nice light coat. It's enough to seal it. Knock on wood, I haven't had one leak like that yet, and again, that's how I was taught to do it. So we're going to go ahead and tighten that 17 up real quick. I think these are like 34 Newton meters, but I'm just going to tighten it by hand. There we go. And then I'm going to go check the case halves, kind of wipe any excess down I see squirting out there. I did get a little overzealous on that part though. Didn't need it where I put it at on here. That's usually where we put the pin for the motor stand when we do use those, which I don't have one for this Suzuki. Nice clean work always ensures somebody come back for more business. So if you keep it nice and clean, they like the way it looks, not all sloppy, they like the work. Now I didn't clean the whole entire motor. I did go through it and look for any particles or anything like that that I could see, blow it out, run some oil through it and all that good stuff. But there we go. That's that on that. So next step is we can go ahead, I could probably lay it on its side. I could probably put the clutch in, finish up the water pump. That's probably what I'm gonna do, shift shaft and all that. So that's what we'll step into next. You know what guys, I'm gonna go ahead and we'll put the, you guys can't see it from that side. I gotta make some room. We're gonna put the gear position sensor in. I don't know if I can get you over here to be able to see that right. Gear position sensor, we can throw in the shift shaft. We'll wait on the shift shaft maybe. Yeah, we'll put the gear position sensor in, and I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put the motor back into the chassis, and then we'll go ahead and put the clutch, the oil gear on, the shift star and all that stuff. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on real quick. Make sure that little guy stayed in place. Pull these little guys out. Make sure your O-ring's in good shape. There we go. Hope I got it the right way there. I was looking at it going, that doesn't look right. And that should be a 4mm Allen. Again, hopefully my microphone, my receiver will be charged up enough to get better voiceover on this for you guys. 4mm Allen, those are like 10 Newton meters also. Should be really, really close to that. There we go, 10. And there we go. All right, so gear position sensor's in. Next thing we got going on, we'll put our motor back into the chassis. I can't even think what I'm going to say. I was just looking at a couple things. Put the motor back in the chassis, and then I'll talk about the torque specs on the chassis. I'll talk about the torque specs on the chassis in the order you need to put it in and torque it down. And then we'll go ahead and throw everything else into the motor, put the thing back together, and fire it up and see if we cured that problem, which I know we did. You guys saw how the transmission was, but I'm gonna go ahead and throw it back into the chassis. I'll talk about the torque specs. I'm probably gonna put it in the motor in the chassis off camera. Then I can just walk around and tell you the torque specs on everything. If that helps you guys out, let me know. All right, guys, let's talk about how we get this motor in here real quick, since I couldn't discombobulate it all earlier trying to do this, so I'm gonna reshoot it for you. So basically, we raise it up slowly. We go ahead and slide in our 2 long 215 millimeter bolts. And then we go ahead and put in this is the left side of the motorcycle. We go ahead and put these in, and we have it on a flat jack, and we raise it up temporarily. We get this as straight as possible. We tighten these down, just not crazy tight, just a little bit. And then what you do, you come over to this side, and you go ahead and insert these two the same way, because these have the spacers on the back side to make sure the motor's pushed all the way to the left side. And also, back in here, I'll leave a link in the description for the specialty tool to break off these crown nuts. And then it's a 14 millimeter here on the nut, a 19 on the big thrush, what do they call that? The engine mounting thrush adjuster. Those will go in, and you will torque this down to 25 Newton meters. And then the big nut on the outside with the special tool, you'll torque that down to 45 Newton meters. And then on the bottom ones, on these here and here, those are tightened to 54 Newton meters. I'm sorry, 54 foot-pounds, which would be 75 Newton meters. And then you come back up here, and those guys there will be tightened down to, which is all of these there on both sides, which is A, B, C, and D, 55 Newton meters. Tighten the left side first, come back over here and tighten the right side. And then these little guys right there, what do they consider those on here? 1 and 2. Those are 23 Newton meters each. And there you go, guys. That's how you install the motor in that. So if you got any questions, leave a comment, and I'll try to post what I have on the manual for you guys. Go for it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put in our, like what we call the it's a detent deal for it. What do we call this here? It's the gear shift system, as they call this. Gear stopper cam bolt is what we're looking for. So we got this guy here. It'll hook in to it like this, and then it'll thread in down here. If I can get it to go. All right, let me go grab a tin. It's a little bit of an extension. We'll go ahead and hand thread that on here. And then we'll torque this down to, what did it say? 7 foot-pounds. All right, 7 foot-pounds. So we'll put it on here, which is kind of odd to do in foot-pounds. Usually you show everything in Newton meters, but that's all right. Seven foot-pounds. There we go. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and put in the gear shift stopper plate. Remember, it's gonna align that. We got a little red Loctite on here. We're gonna grab a screwdriver, see if we can't get this guy to come down a hair out of the way. That way it all lines up. Nice and neat. If I can hold on to it here. Sit there. And then we'll spin this guy in and we'll torque this down to 9 foot-pounds. Don't know why they went from Newton meters to foot-pounds, but we'll go ahead and initially run it in with this. Nice and easy. Okay, so it touched. Go ahead and tighten this to 9. Not very tight, but that's what she says to do, so that's what we did. Gotta see if we can't get her to spin back to neutral here real quick. Make sure that's neutral. Oh yeah, that's neutral. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and slide in the shift shaft to be the next thing we do. Shift shaft's been all cleaned up. This guy is gonna sit right here on that, like so. Just like this, and then we'll walk over to the other side and we'll put our washer and our circ clip back on the other side. All right, so we got that on, and now we're gonna go ahead and put our oil pump gear back on. We get that nice and flat. We'll put our washer in there. Make sure we pull that out. There's that washer, and then we have this little dowel pin that sits in there. Nice and even. And then I'm gonna go ahead and clean this gear up with my hands real quick. And this will sit right back on there like so. Just gotta match it all up. Make sure it's pulled all the way out. And then we'll go ahead and put the circ clip on there, which I left the circ clip pliers on the other side. I lied, I got them right here. And we want to spread that open just enough to get it over. And if you want, you can go ahead and just kind of push it on. And you watch it snap down into place, listen to it snap in place, check it. Everything looks nice and neat. Everything's snapped back into place where it should be. I think I'm going to rotate this just a little bit so it's not sitting on that opening. There we go. Oil pump gear's back in there. Shift shaft's back in there. The shift cam stopping plate, spring for all that stuff, and we're neutral. And as you hear me spin this, you can see me spinning. Remember how I was locking up on that gear a while ago before we took the transmission apart? Now it's nice and smooth. So the next fun part, we're gonna put the clutch back in the way it came with the Brock's system. And then I know he's talked about wanting to go back to stock, so we're gonna go ahead and set it up like this. That way we can put the whole motor together. I'm waiting on parts, make sure everything's good to go. So you guys seen in an earlier video how I did that. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and go back to my first video on this, and you guys see how this all goes back together. No point in wasting time on camera since I already shot it in the previous video. All right, guys, so we got the clutch all back in. Next thing I gotta do is start getting all the wires hooked back up. I got a chain and sprocket to put on it. Get the throttle bodies back in, get everything back on here, back together. Again, I'm gonna just do that off camera. I'll fill it with oil and then coolant, and I'll let you guys see the first startup on this thing. But you guys can already see how that transmission spins nice and smooth. There's no hiccups in that thing anymore. So we know that's gonna be a fixed problem. No issues there. So I'm gonna go ahead and put all the stuff back together, and then I'll get coolant stuff in it, and then we'll do the first fire up together on camera. All right. Bike's back together, motor's back in, we have coolant, we have oil for complete overhaul, pretty much is what we did. It's 3.8 quarts. I don't remember how how much it is for the radiator, but I just keep burping the system, so on and so forth. Batteries reinstalled, everything. So let's go ahead and throw the kickstand up. Let's turn the key on. Don't know if the clutch switch is bypassed on this. It's not, but it's in neutral. We may push it, may not have to. I can't remember. Pull the clutch switch in. That's first startup after rebuilding this motor. We have no leaks. The clutch feels really good. We readjusted the rod on that. Picked up oil instantly. So I'm gonna let it idle here for a minute. Make sure it picks up all that oil. We'll shut it off. We wanna make sure it fills up the oil cooler. Everything sounds really good, nice and quiet. So that makes me really happy. I also put a new chain and sprocket on it while we were putting the motor together because the old chain was just shot. Probably got to tighten that up just a smidge more. It's a little bit loose, not too bad. So we'll tighten that up just a little bit more. And then I'll take it for its first ride and let you guys know how it feels. You can see it smoke a little bit for all my hands and stuff on it. But when I get back from first ride, I'll get back to you guys. All right, guys, so we had a code C49 on here. I forgot to hook the paravalve up, but when I started it back up, you're getting a view from my helmet right now, it kept dropping a cylinder. So I went in there and checked the spark plugs. Every spark plug was ready to fall out. I got new spark plugs in there, CR9EIA-9s, Iridiums on this one. So I fired it back up, sounded good. So now let's take this thing for a test ride real quick, see if all the gears are working right. Let's hope so. All right. Now I do have you guys the mic in my helmet, so if it's muffled, I'm sorry. Trying something a little bit different here. Clutch feels good, brakes feel good, front brakes, rear brakes. He's missing a couple pieces for his snorkels right here. I'll have to talk to him about getting those ordered. No pull on the throttle either way. Gear 1. Head down through the yard right here. Shifts into first gear nice and smooth. Definitely takes some play out of his throttle though. I don't like that. And I think he's idling just a little high. Yeah, he's almost at 2,000 RPMs at an idle. So we'll have to fix that when we get back. I'll close my helmet down. He might be a little windy, I don't know. There's 5th. Right into 6th, no problem. Everything feels really, really good. I don't have my riding jacket on, so we're not going to get anything crazy. We're just going to kind of cruise. Downshift a few gears. And everything feels good. New chain sprocket. Definitely don't like all that play in the throttle though. We'll just take it for a quick little loop. I don't like the tires you got either. They're pretty flat shaped. It's definitely time for new tires on those. Have rear blinkers, so I don't have all the plastics on here, no mirrors. I think the 05s had the built-in blinkers on them. Everything shifted really nice and smooth. Definitely idles a little high though. The gear position sensor seems a little bit off. I went back down to first and we're showing second. I don't know if the sensor's going bad or what. Sorry if it's really, really loud for you guys. I'm sure it's pretty loud. running about 70 miles an hour right now. Just doing a quick little loop around my house and the shop. All right, guys, I see I lost you out there on the road. Bike shift's great. Everything works really, really nice. Like I said, I'm looking at a little more at that gear position sensor to see what's going on. I may not much I could do about that. May just have to replace that thing down the road. Of course, like I said, this thing's been rode pretty hard before he bought it. But again, guys, if you got any questions about motorcycles, ATVs, or UTVs, drop a comment down below. Don't forget to sub and like this video. Follow me on TikTok at Limitless Power Sports Sir and Rep, which is Service and Repair, which is SEP and RE. I'm sorry, Limitless Power Sports, SER and REP, because it won't let me put my whole name in there. I do a little updates on that. And then you can email me at limitlesspowersports78@gmail.com and find me on Facebook, and of course right here on YouTube, guys. So I'm pretty sure the customer's gonna be happy with this thing all done up. It's not gonna cost them $4,700 like other shop quoted them. So he's gonna be stoked about that. Of course, we had to replace the transmission, the whole transmission. Did the spark plugs in this thing, new oil, new coolant, all that. I'll double check all that stuff off camera. Again, guys, I appreciate it. I'll catch you on the next upload. I'll see you later.